Around 10 p.m., a successful CEO happened to see the company's janitor quietly receiving a tray of leftover food. Curious, he followed her, and what he discovered in that dark apartment took his breath away. A mother, 2 children, 1 meal split 3 ways, and a gentle lie. There will be dinner tomorrow too. Okay, sweetheart. From that moment on, the CEO knew he could no longer stay silent. And what he did next brought the entire company to tears. It was nearing 10 p.m. in Atlanta, Georgia. Most of the lights in the towering Westbrook Logistics headquarters had dimmed, leaving only the security lamps glowing like watchful eyes. Inside a glass-paneled corner office on the 28th floor, Damon Keller, the company's 41-year-old founder and CEO, was still at his desk. Damon was known for 2 things: relentless efficiency and brutal honesty. He built Westbrook from nothing but a used pickup truck and a storage unit, hauling freight on his own before hiring his first driver. 2 decades later, his name was whispered with reverence or fear across boardrooms. He lived by numbers. If it couldn't be measured, it didn't matter. That night, as he reviewed shipment deviation reports, something unusual caught his attention. Down the hallway, past the breakroom's flickering light, a figure moved. A woman, small, swift, and careful. She wasn't supposed to be there. The night cleaning crew came and went without a sound. But this one lingered. Curious, Damon stepped out of his office. The woman didn't notice him. She slipped quietly into the break room and waited. Her name badge caught a glint of the emergency light. Rosa Bennett, night custodian. Damon recognized her vaguely. Never late. Never a problem. No HR reports. A ghost in the system. Moments later, one of the cafeteria staff emerged, glanced around, and handed Rosa a foil-wrapped takeout tray. She bowed her head in gratitude, tucked it quickly into her oversized purse, and darted toward the back exit like a thief in the night. Damon didn't stop her. He just stood there, watching. And for the first time in a long while, something inside him moved, an uncomfortable question rising like steam. Why did she have to sneak? Why did someone that reliable have to beg for a leftover meal? Damon didn't know why he followed her. It wasn't planned. There was no spreadsheet, no metric guiding his feet. Just a feeling, uneasy, persistent, that gnawed at the edge of his logic. So when he saw Rosa disappear into the shadows beyond the back exit, he pulled on his coat and followed at a distance. The cold hit him like a slap. Atlanta in November wasn't brutal, but the wind had bite, especially for a man used to climate control and chauffeured rides. He adjusted the collar of his coat and kept walking, trailing her through empty streets lined with flickering streetlights and closed-up shops. Rosa didn't look back. She walked fast, but not suspiciously, like someone with purpose, someone who'd done this 100 times. Her shoes were worn, the soles thin, and the tote bag at her side swayed with every step, its weight awkward and uneven. Damon kept to the shadows, feeling more like a trespasser than a CEO. They crossed under a bridge where a man lay curled beneath a tattered blanket. Rosa paused briefly, pulled something from her bag, a sandwich, maybe, and placed it next to him. She didn't speak. She didn't linger. Just a small gesture, and then back to her path. Damon stared after her, stunned. Who gives away food when they barely have any themselves? The city grew darker as they moved farther from the business district. The buildings shrank. Streetlights grew scarce. Fences leaned like drunks against crumbling sidewalks. It wasn't the kind of place Damon had seen in years. Not since his earliest days hustling for warehouse gigs on the south side of town. Finally, Rosa stopped in front of a low-rise apartment complex. Bricks stained with age, balconies sagging under rusted rails. She climbed the stairs slowly, as if each step carried a weight heavier than her bag. Damon stayed across the street, partially hidden behind a tree, watching. She unlocked the door and stepped inside. Damon waited, unsure why, but then a light flickered on behind a curtain. He shifted slightly, and for one moment, just one, he could see inside. The apartment was nearly empty. Not messy, empty. No couch. No dining table. No shelves. Just a mattress on the floor, 2 folded blankets, and 1 small lamp. He was about to look away when 2 small figures emerged from behind a sheet hanging in the doorway. Children. 1 boy, 1 girl. No older than 6 or 7. They rushed to Rosa, who knelt and pulled the foil tray from her bag. She opened it gently, broke the food into portions, and gave it to them without taking a bite herself. Damon's stomach turned. It wasn't the hunger that broke him. It was the silence. The way she smiled like it was all okay. Like splitting a cold tray of cafeteria food on a bare mattress in a freezing room was normal. Acceptable. And then, the girl asked, "Mommy, will we have dinner tomorrow too?" Rosa hesitated. Just a breath. Then, softly, "Of course, baby. I'll figure it out." That was it. That one sentence hit Damon harder than any market crash, any warehouse fire, any corporate betrayal he'd ever survived. Because it was a lie. A beautiful, heartbreaking lie. Told to protect a child from a truth she didn't deserve to know. He stepped back, breath catching in his throat. He'd built Westbrook to be efficient, modern, unstoppable. But this wasn't in the metrics. This was a woman working 6 days a week and still going hungry. This was 2 children living in silence and shadow while their mother gave everything she had, and more, just to keep the lights on. Except there were no lights. Not really. Damon turned away from the apartment and walked down the street with lead in his shoes. His mind raced, questions spiraling out of the tidy framework he'd lived by for 2 decades. What kind of system pays people just enough to barely survive? What kind of man builds that system and never notices? He didn't sleep that night. He sat in his living room, leather couch, mahogany table, panoramic window looking over a skyline that seemed to mock him now, and stared at the darkness. The next morning, he didn't go to the gym. He didn't check the market or review logistics reports. He did something he hadn't done in years. He walked the warehouse floor, but this time, he wasn't looking at efficiency. He was looking at people. And everywhere he looked, he saw it now. Exhaustion masked as discipline, quiet desperation in eyes that never spoke up, hands moving with purpose but hearts sagging with weight. When he passed Rosa, she looked away quickly, embarrassed. She must have seen him the night before, or sensed it. Damon didn't stop her. Not yet. But he would. He wasn't done watching. Now, he was preparing to act. The sun hadn't been up long when Damon asked his assistant to find Rosa Bennett. He didn't explain why. Just said, "Tell her I'd like to speak with her privately. In my office. Today." By 10:15 a.m., she stood in front of his glass door, holding her cleaning clipboard like a shield. Damon looked up from his desk and motioned for her to enter. She hesitated, then stepped inside with small, guarded steps, as if expecting the floor to vanish beneath her feet. "Ms. Bennett," Damon said, his voice even but softer than usual. "Thank you for coming." She nodded silently and remained standing. Her shoulders were tense. Her chin was lifted, but her eyes were wary. Not hostile, just ready for battle, in the way that only people who've had to explain their dignity too many times know how to be. "You're not in trouble," Damon said quickly. Rosa didn't respond. Her fingers tightened around the clipboard. He gestured to the chair across from him. "Please, sit." She did, slowly, clutching the clipboard in her lap like it was the only thing keeping her grounded. "I want to talk to you," he said. "About last night." Her body stiffened. He saw it. The ripple of fear. The alarm behind her silence. "I followed you," Damon admitted. "Not out of suspicion. Out of curiosity." There. It was out. Rosa looked away, her jaw clenching. "Sir, if you're going to fire me, just say it." "I'm not." Her eyes darted back to his. "Then why?" He hesitated, choosing his next words with care. "Because I needed to understand something. I saw you take food. I saw where you went. And I saw," his voice dropped, losing strength. "I saw your children." Rosa's expression didn't break, but her grip on the clipboard eased slightly. "I wasn't spying," he added. "At least, not intentionally. But I couldn't look away. And now, I can't forget." Rosa sat silently for a long moment, her eyes focused on the floor. "I didn't steal anything," she finally said, voice low. "I know," Damon replied. "That's not why you're here." She looked up. "Then why am I here?" He folded his hands on the desk. "Because I needed to say this to your face. I'm sorry." Rosa blinked, clearly taken aback. "For years," he continued, "I thought paying fair wages and offering steady work was enough. I thought if people worked hard, they'd be okay. But that's not what I saw last night." His voice tightened. "I saw a woman working full-time and still going hungry. I saw a mother giving away her own meal so her kids could eat. That's not okay. Not by any measure." Rosa's lips pressed into a line. "This isn't the first time I've been told I'm inspiring, Mr. Keller. But inspiration doesn't pay rent." Her words hit hard, But he didn't flinch. "You're right. That's not what I'm offering." She looked confused and tired. So tired. "What are you offering?" He reached into his desk and pulled out a thick folder. He slid it across to her. She hesitated before opening it. Inside was a revised compensation plan. Higher base pay, emergency support funds, child care assistance, a small monthly food stipend. Her name was at the top. "I want you to be the first," he said, "and not the last." Rosa stared at the papers, unmoving. "I don't want charity," she whispered. "This isn't charity," Damon said firmly. "This is course correction. A system reboot. We built a machine that was efficient, but heartless. It's time to change that." Tears welled in Rosa's eyes, but she blinked them away. She didn't cry. "Not here. Not now. I've never been given anything," she murmured. "Then it's about damn time," he replied. There was a silence between them. Not awkward. Not forced. Just full. Rosa stood, clutching the folder to her chest. "I don't know what to say," she whispered. "Then don't," Damon said. "Just know this isn't the end. It's the beginning." She looked at him with something close to belief, something fragile, but growing. Then she turned, her footsteps lighter than when she entered. "And Damon?" He sat in silence, feeling the weight of something lift, even as something new settled deeper in his chest. Responsibility. 3 days later, Damon Keller stood at the head of the long boardroom table on the 30th floor of Westbrook Logistics, facing the people who had helped him build the company. And the very same people now standing between him and the change he was determined to make. The boardroom was cold. Not from the air conditioning, from the atmosphere. The suits were sharp, the eyes sharper. Faces like spreadsheets. Unreadable, calculating, expensive. Damon cleared his throat. "Thank you all for coming on short notice." Lisa Hahn, Westbrook's CFO, was seated to his right. She had been quiet since the meeting began, but her body language was tense. She already knew what was coming. She had helped him prepare the numbers. Damon took a breath. "I'm proposing a full restructuring of our labor compensation model," he began. "Higher base pay for hourly workers. A rotating emergency assistance fund. Optional childcare stipends. We also review health coverage gaps and invest in retention training." He said it calmly, clearly. No apology in his tone. Just truth. A long silence followed. Then someone scoffed, Jacob Morley, head of investor relations. "Is this some PR stunt?" he asked. "Or did someone guilt trip you on LinkedIn?" Soft laughter rippled across the room. Damon didn't flinch. "No PR," he said firmly. "And nobody guilt tripped me. I saw something. And now I can't unsee it." "And what did you see?" Margaret Lynn, the sharp-eyed VP of operations, leaned forward. Damon looked her straight in the eye. "I saw a full-time employee splitting one leftover meal between her 2 kids on the floor of an apartment with no furniture." The room went still. Not out of pity. Out of tension. Lisa finally spoke. "The math supports this, by the way," she said. "Retention is already down. Turnover is bleeding us. We lose more in rehiring and retraining every year than these new changes would cost." "Which shareholders won't care about," said Jacob flatly. "They'll see a drop in quarterly profit and call for your head." "Let them," Damon replied. That silenced the room more than anything else he'd said. "You'd risk your position for this?" Margaret asked. Damon's voice was steady. "If I don't, what's the point of having this position at all?" There was a shift in the room. The sound of pages turning. Lisa slid a binder forward. "We've modeled 3 tiers of implementation. Tier 1 increases hourly pay by 15% and adds the assistance program. Tier 2 includes childcare support. Tier 3 is the full model with tuition aid, family coverage extensions, and wellness incentives." Damon added, "I want Tier 3. Margaret tapped her pen. "It's bold. It's overdue." Another voice, Charles Wynn, quiet until now, spoke up. "You built this company on lean precision, Damon. People trusted that. What changed?" Damon looked down at his hands, then looked back up. "I stopped mistaking silence for satisfaction," he said. "And I finally realized, just because no one's complaining doesn't mean everything's okay. It might just mean they've given up." No one responded for a moment. Then Margaret sat back slowly. "Put it to a vote." They did. It wasn't unanimous, but it was enough. When the vote passed, Damon didn't smile. He didn't celebrate. He just nodded once, the weight of the decision sinking deep into his bones. This wasn't the end. This was the fight, and it had only just begun. The next morning, the warehouse floor buzzed with the usual sounds of industry: pallet jacks squealing, forklifts beeping, boxes thudding onto conveyor belts. But something felt different. At 9 a.m. sharp, The floor manager called for a temporary halt in operations. Everyone, gather by the main corridor. The CEO has something to say. Murmurs rippled through the workers. Damon Keller never spoke directly to line employees. He observed, he delegated, but he didn't do speeches. Not until now. Damon stood on a small raised platform by the break room, Lisa Hahn and a few department heads beside him. His shirt sleeves were rolled up. He wasn't wearing a suit. He wasn't trying to look important. He looked real. And the workers noticed. "I won't keep you long," he began, projecting just enough to be heard over the hum of anticipation. "But I need to say something. To all of you." The room quieted. For a long time, I believed if someone worked hard enough, the system would take care of them. I believed that fair pay and consistency were enough. But I was wrong. He paused. "I've learned that some of you are going home after your shifts not to rest, but to survive. And that's not acceptable." Murmurs again. Some eyes dropped. Others lifted. Damon continued. "Starting next month, Westbrook Logistics will implement a company-wide wage increase. We're also launching emergency assistance funding, childcare support, expanded health coverage, and programs to help you grow, both here and beyond." A collective silence fell over the room. Then whispers. Then applause. Soft at first. Then louder. It spread through the room like heat after winter. Some workers wiped their eyes. Others clapped hard and long. Damon didn't speak again. He didn't need to. But just as he was about to step down, a voice called from the crowd. "Mr. Keller." It was Rosa. She stepped forward from the back, still in her night custodian uniform. The same one she had worn that night. She looked calm. Steady. Her hands weren't shaking. Her voice was clear. "I want to say something," she said. All eyes turned to her. Damon's included. "I know I'm not the type to get up in front of a crowd," Rosa began, "but I can't let this moment pass." She looked at Damon, her voice tightening just a little. "I want to say thank you." The crowd fell silent again. "Not just for the raise," she said. "Not just for the support, but for seeing us. For seeing me. For a long time, people like me, we worked, we cleaned, we went home invisible. But now, someone looked. Someone cared." She swallowed. "And I know it won't fix everything overnight. But it's a start. A powerful one. And you didn't have to do it. But you did." She nodded once, firmly. "Thank you, Mr. Keller, for fighting for people who don't have time or strength left to fight for themselves." Damon felt something tighten in his throat. But he didn't look away. He nodded back. "Thank you, Rosa," he said quietly. "It started with you." Weeks passed. The new policy went into effect. The first paychecks arrived with noticeably higher numbers, not life-changing for some, but for others, it meant groceries without fear. It meant paying rent on time. It meant dignity. The warehouse looked the same. The forklifts still beeped. Boxes still rolled down conveyors. But something had shifted. People stood taller, laughed louder, said, "Good morning," without fear in their eyes. Damon Keller didn't return to the top floor right away. He spent his days walking the warehouse, listening, learning, really learning, for the first time in years. He visited the break room during lunch and sat with people he'd once passed without notice. He wasn't looking for praise. He was looking for understanding. And what he found was this. People don't need a miracle. They just need someone to give a damn. One afternoon, as he stepped outside to grab coffee from a nearby truck, a man in a faded hoodie caught up to him. "Hey," the man said, a little nervous. "You Damon?" "I am." The man reached into his pocket and pulled out a crumpled sheet of paper, a drawing. It was a child's crayon sketch. On it, a woman in a blue uniform holding hands with two smiling kids. Above their heads, in red letters, "Thank you for Mommy's raise." "My daughter made this," the man said. "She's in Rosa's building. Said I should give it to you." Damon unfolded the paper slowly. He stared at it for a long time. Long after the man walked away. That night, he pinned it to the inside of his office door, the same door that once closed him off from the lives behind the spreadsheets. Now, every time he opened it, he would remember. Numbers move business. But people move the world.